Roy Ratnavel went from a tortured political prisoner to a financial executive, and he shares that journey in his new book, Prisoner Number 1056. Ratnavel was jailed as a teenager before fleeing imprisonment and beatings in Sri Lanka. His father, desperate to see his son live in peace, sent him to Canada, and he was killed 3 days later. Roy then arrived in Canada at the age of 18 and alone. We're pleased to have Roy in studio this morning to fill in the details of your amazing story. Welcome to your morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I want to start where this story begins, with you as a teenager in prison. Just 17 years old, you were tortured by the Sri Lankan government at that time because you were Tamil. What was your experience while you were jailed?
Well, it's very bad, obviously, being in prison. It's more than that. It's just the not knowing what your future is going to look like. You know, a lot of people don't make it out of prison, and I was one of the luckiest ones to get out.
You have this line in your book. You say, this is about your time in prison: "We are facing death by 1,000 cuts. Sometimes a machete is mercy, and I was hoping for one." It's a heavy thought for a 17-year-old.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's just hearing other people screaming in pain. It gives you even more, you're mortified just listening to other people screaming, and then vice versa. And it's just, it's a situation that I don't think I wish it on anyone, but the world works in mysterious ways. I'm here today and happy and talking to you in a free country, and it's amazing how it all happened.
A key part of this story is your father and your father's desire to see his son saved and lived in peace. How did you manage to come to Canada 35 years ago?
Yeah, so when I got out of prison, my father realized that there's no future for a young kid, Tamil kid like me in Sri Lanka, and thought Canada might be a land of opportunity for me to build a life of peace and prosperity.
There you
and how right he was in that assessment.
Incredible. In this book, you talk about landing in Canada, and you're encountering a Canadian police officer for the first time when you hit the Pearson airport. You associated at that time police with fear, with beatings and imprisonment. What changed that?
Well, I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, that I associated uniforms with terror, and just coming from my background. So when I got out of the plane, I still remember that, thinking, oh my God, I'm facing police officers. I saw them at the customs desk, and I saw this big burly police officer walking towards me, and as we, you know, our path crossed, and they just barely looked at me and said, "Good afternoon." At that very moment, I decided to become a Canadian.
Because it meant what to you?
Safe. And I didn't think that this was possible, that I thought every person in police uniform brutalized other people, at least from my experience. You
read in your book about what motivated you was that you were living for two lives, not just yours, but for your dad's as well. Tell me more about that.
So when my father died in an untimely way, in a horrible way, I thought if I did well enough in life, somehow I could make up for the life he should have had. And that became what I would call, that pain became the coal for my furnace of ambition. And so I really had to make sure that his dream is also realized, as well as mine.
What do you think he would think of the life that you're living right now?
He will try to tell me I should have done things differently. He's a man of perfection, but I think in the final analysis, I think he'd be happy. At least give me a B-.
He'd give you a B-. Listen, he's a South Asian parent. They're always looking for the extra 2%,
Absolutely.
right? You know, at the back of your book, the Right Honourable Brian Mulroney writes a note, and he has this great line where he says, "In the final analysis, we are all children of immigrants." Yeah. What did it mean to you to have his endorsement of your book?
It was actually, I was humbled and honored by Right Honourable Brian Mulroney to be able to give me an endorsement for the book. And it meant a lot to me, because when I came to Canada in 1988, he was the Prime Minister. So it was a long shot. I sent him the book, and to have him endorse the book really speaks to the bedrock of what this country is all about. It's a nation of immigrants, and I'm glad to be part of that mix.
There are going to be people who are new to this country who are going to see your story, read your story. What's a key piece of information you want to leave them with this morning?
In life, you only guarantee two things: freedom and choice. When you will be rewarded for the right choices you make, and you'll be punished for the bad ones you make. That's the price of freedom. Hard work wins, and there's dignity in hard work. So Canada isn't perfect, but is far better than what's out there. So cherish it, embrace it, and enjoy your freedom.
Those values you read throughout your book. I want to thank you, Roy, for coming in today. An amazing story. Thanks for sharing it with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And just a reminder to everybody, Prisoner Number 1056 comes out tomorrow. Still ahead.